For the last several days in class, we've been learning about finding slope and finding y-intercept. So now we're going to put them together into slope-intercept form. And we've actually talked about slope-intercept form in our classes before. The form for slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And in our mx plus b format, m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So when we actually, all we're doing is putting the slope in for m and putting the y-intercept in for b. That's all we're doing. So we're going to start off, we're going to actually add a little section here, so why don't we let's just do that right now. And we're going to say from a table. And if you haven't done so already, if you can do it tomorrow when you come in, but you're going to put in your new tab. You got your new tab and you got these notes. If you want to put them in tomorrow, you can, that's fine, but let's make sure that you get them in your book because we want to be able to use them as we go along. So first of all, when I'm writing equations in slope-intercept form, the first thing I need to know, I always find the slope first. I mean, I can find the y-intercept first if it's just a graph, but or if they give me the y-intercept, okay, so for our purposes today, I can find the y-intercept or the slope. But when they get more challenging, when they don't just like throw the y-intercept at me, I'm going to have to find the slope first. So for now, we're going to find the slope first because it's better for us to do the same process every time. So the first thing we're going to do is find slope, which again is m. Okay, so to find slope in a graph, we do rise over run. Now, again, we've talked about this before. If you like the slope formula, use the slope formula. If you want to put those find 2 points and put them in a table, you can do that. You use whichever method you like. The method that kind of lends itself to graphs is rise over run, so that's the method I'm going to do. So they gave me 3 points, but I'm going to use these 2 points, and I'm going to draw my triangle to figure out how I move between them. So it looks like I go down 4, so I'm going to write minus 4 here, and I go right 6. Now a lot of you are you're trying to actually rise up, and there's nothing wrong with that too, rising up 4, but remember if you go left 6, then the run becomes negative. So you've got to keep in mind that this line goes downhill. Remember, I can write my name on it, or draw my little dude, and then I know that my slope should be negative. So at the end of every question, when I'm doing slope from a graph, I need to think, oh, wait, my line's going downhill, I got to be negative. Okay, so I find my slope by doing rise over run, which is negative 4 over 6, which is negative 2/3. So there's my slope. Next thing I do is I find my y-intercept, which is b. Well, the y-intercept is right here. It's where the line crosses the y-axis. Well, it crosses the y-axis at 0, negative 1. So now all I do is I plug those numbers into y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I have y equals m, which is negative 2/3 x, plus b, which in case this is plus negative 1, which is redundant, so I'm just going to put minus 1. That's the equation of this line in slope-intercept form. Now, if they give me, like this one, they just gave me everything. They gave it all to me. They gave me the slope, which is m, which is 4. They gave me the y-intercept, which is b, which is negative 9, so I'm just going to plug it in. Y equals 4x minus 9. I mean, this one, they just gave it all to me. Okay? Now, the last, kind of giving it all to you table form you might see is a table. So I just made up these numbers. They are not the same as anything else that we've seen. I just made up an equation. So negative 3, 14, negative 2, 11, negative 1, 8, 0, 5, and 5, negative 10. Okay? These are just some points that make up an equation. So again, the first thing we want to do, and yes, we know the y-intercept is jumping out at us, but that's okay. We're going to find slope, which in this case would be delta y over delta x. Or use the slope formula if you like it, but I'm going to delta y over delta x, okay? So this is minus 3 plus 1, so my delta y over delta x is negative 3 over 1, which is negative 3, which is my slope, okay? Now my y-intercept is the row where x equals 0. Well, here it is. There's the row where x equals 0. 0, 5. So when I put this in slope-intercept form, it's y equals negative 3x plus 5. So these are the ones we're going to start with. We're going to finish the rest of these notes tomorrow. For now, we're going to look at these. These are the ones, I don't want to say they're easy, but they are. I want to say they're the ones where they give you almost everything you need. You might have to find the slope, but finding the slope's not that hard. The y-intercept is easily found, though. Tomorrow, in the next video, we'll talk about what to do when they don't make the y-intercept so easy to find. Make sure you take notes because your notes are your proof that you watched.